You heard from Mark Levin there because his call screener, producer, girl Fadi, he does everything for him. Rich Valdes is in studio. Valdes, you heard us talk about him earlier, host of This Is America, his wonderful podcast. He's also been a part of the Chris Christie administration. And, of course, again, now part of the Mark Levin show. But you may have seen his picture in the New York Post a couple days ago because he's one of 3 candidates now on the right that are going right after Cortez. And let me just say this. Bernie and I are all over Cortez all the time. He thinks she's cute. I don't, regardless. She's gaining too much power, way too much power. So believe me when I tell you, I applaud you for this. I want you guys to win. But as a friend, even though we just met for the first time, I'm imploring you, before you get humiliated in this race, to get out and change your mind.
That's a possibility. I mean, so right now, right? Yeah. We got to keep it real, keep it gangster, right? So
let us just start out from the beginning by saying you're a fellow Puerto Rican.
Yeah, Wepa. Yes, I am.
No doubt.
Yeah. My parents are both born in Puerto Rico. I was born in Brooklyn. And back to you, Sid.
Yeah.
I'm sticking my little toe into the water right now. This is a big game. She's a major player in the fundraising arena. Policy chops, not so much, right? I think that's why people take her to task. But when it comes to raising money, she's no joke. She's been raising money for Ilhan Omar. And Ilhan Omar is now the #1 fundraiser in the United States House of Representatives.
Wow.
So to sit here, I can say she's a
just
soft
emphasize
target.
my point when I say she's not some cute chick out of the Bronx and Queens. She's becoming way too powerful. Way too powerful.
She's
there's no
an
doubt
incredibly
about it.
strong and formidable candidate in the fundraising arena.
Yeah.
Her fundraising capability goes well beyond her district. Of course, the votes don't go well beyond the district, so that's where it can become competitive. And of course, like I said, we haven't seen too much with her policy chops. I think that's an area where she may be vulnerable, and I think the biggest area where she's vulnerable is that she was on the wrong side of the Amazon jobs deal.
Right.
And I think people in her district, while Amazon's not in her district, it's in Queens, and these people know each other. And it's not good for Queens. It's not good for their pocketbook.
And that's a lot of the criticism is she ignores the district for big national issues, et cetera. But you mentioned Omar, speaking of national issues. Omar's latest tweet was that Jesus was a Palestinian. That's just as Ave. But so Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Last I heard, he was a Jewish carpenter. But
Exactly right.
That's the right
Jesus was a Jew. That's right. But anyway, AOC defends her and supports her and thinks that the state of Israel should be boycotted. It's racist, as Bernie Sanders said 2 days ago. Dispel the notion that Puerto Ricans hate Jews right now.
Yeah, absolutely not. I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood,
Thank you.
Midwood, Ocean
Thank
Avenue,
you.
Avenue M.
Look at that.
My best
Is
friend growing
that
up,
right?
Ralph Schulberg. Right, that
look
was
at
my
this.
one best friend. I had another best friend who was half Egyptian, half Dominican. His name was Osama Marrero. So,
You grew up in Ocean and M. I grew up on East 22nd and Quinn.
All right, so right around
How
the
do you
corner.
like
Right
that?
around the corner.
Homeboys.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah,
at
my
that.
brother Joe's still on West 3rd and Kings
Wait a
Highway.
second. You have a sister?
I got a whole bunch of everything.
I think I banged her.
I'm the last debate. Oh, good Lord. Father,
In
forgive
fact-
him. Father, forgive him.
You might have.
Kings Highway, it was one night. It was a long night.
Let me bring
Don't
back to the
worry.
Jewish roots. Oy vey.
Maybe I do hate the Jews.
You have a niece that is related.
Oh, security. Somebody call security.
No, but, it's funny about the Jewish people. You know this, Rich. Going back even to that piece of garbage, Sharpton, and when that whole thing happened in Crown Heights with Rosenbaum, Jewish people have lived with African Americans. The Italians wouldn't. They'll take a baseball bat at Howard Beach. Even the Irish. The Puerto Ricans live with the Jews. The Jewish people, more than anybody,
I grew up with
they
black
live with
people.
everybody.
Yeah, I
Well,
never
you
had
did,
an
yes.
issue with
but
the
you
Jews.
Were, you were a very rare, a minority in
rare,
that.
very
in
rare.
What
that
I can
neighborhood.
add to that is that we lived in a rather safe neighborhood, in large part because of the Jews. They policed their own with the JDL, the Jewish Defense League. Right? So I never had to worry about riding my bike around the block because these guys were packing. And they were vigilant.
I always said that. I live in my co-op out in Long Beach with majority Jewish people, and they take care of the building. Nobody's hitting you over the head, taking your money.
Yep.
I mean, they're great. I don't understand the anti-Semitism that's bubbling up with people like AOC and the rest of them. But let me ask you this question. Rich Valdes, Mark Levin's associate producer, and you're potentially going to run against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's down the line. But you do live in New Jersey.
Yeah,
Now,
well,
that's an issue.
I'm still serving a term with the New Jersey State Center for Hispanic Policy Research and Development, which ends at the end of June. Once that's over, I have family that's out in Throgs Neck and not too far from Tommy's Pizza, some of the best pizza in the Bronx. And I will very likely be taking residence there again. The state law, and you can look at, AOC, actually, she's actually on, when they challenged her on not living where she said she lived, she said there's no requirement. And there really isn't the requirement until you win. Until you win, you have to live somewhere in the state. You don't have to live in the district.
Right.
But I think you want to live in a district. You want to do the right thing, and I have no issue doing that. I come here every day. I spend more time in that district than she does.
Wow. Rich Valdes here on the Bernie and Sid Show. So I'm always interested in motivation, why people do what they do, right? People are still trying to figure out why Donald Trump really ran for president. And he's doing a terrific job, but why? So in the end, are you going to, if you do this, is this because you want to just further your political career? Is this because you're genuinely worried about the direction Cortez can take this country? Are you doing this because you do think she's vulnerable and you got a chance to beat her? What is your main motivation if, in fact, Rich, you decide to run?
I'll go with choices B and C for 200. So here's how that goes, right? So do I think she's vulnerable? No, but I do think that the softest she'll ever be as a target is right now. She's a first-term congressperson.
Okay,
that's the main reason.
Okay.
She's moving very quickly onto the national stage. I'm pretty confident that with the momentum that her movement is gaining, it will be very dangerous for America. And that's the real genesis of my motivation. It's not so much her. I think she's a fantastic person. I don't think she's stupid. A lot of people criticize her for being dumb. I think she may have had some gaffes. I don't think she's stupid. I think she's achieved a lot, and she's smart, and she knows where she's going. I think I disagree with her, and I think her thoughts are bad for my children. I have 2 kids that are going to grow up to be like that.
Well
right?
said.
I have a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to grow up to think that the government is going to create a utopia that is going to take care of us. I want them to learn about hard work. I grew up in Brooklyn. My parents got divorced. We moved around a lot because we were very poor. Not as poor as we could be to qualify for the projects, but poor enough where we didn't live in the same place for too long and ended up moving across the river, which is why I'm in Jersey. Yeah. And of course my children are there, and I would never leave them. I have 50% custody of my kids, so I'm very active with them.
If her and Bernie Sanders get their way, I mean, they're going to lead to the
her and her communist grandfather
lead to the ruin of this country, essentially. But now let me point out this one recent thing she did. She posted tweets about the New Zealand massacre 14 times. Not one tweet about the Christian massacre in Sri Lanka. I mean, that tells you about her mindset. She sympathizes with terrorists, apparently.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head, and this is why I started the podcast, totally separate from any aspiration I have with a campaign, is because I believe that the hearts and minds of so many Americans, in particular that age group, have been so grossly and negatively affected by leftism. They figured out, like New York City, why does a guy like de Blasio get elected time and again?
Nobody votes.
Well, not only that, but
they're all Democrats here.
They're all Democrats. They have hegemony, right? They have groupthink. They've taken over the political system.
Right. Yeah.
They've done the same thing now with the national media. They've done the same thing now with higher education.
Yeah, and the NBA.
There you go. So when you have one type of thinking and there's no diversity of thought, you're going to continue to produce people.
Yeah. You know what? You're like the Candace Owens of the Puerto Ricans.
Wow.
To be quite honest with you. Yeah, listen, man, you're brilliant. You're a smart guy. And
thank you.
We're supporting you.
Oh, big time. And by the way,
hands down.
Do you want to thank Levin right now for being the anonymous donor who gave you $2 million? You can do it right now. I know he's listening. The great one's listening.
Yeah, what I will say is we do love Mark Levin. Obviously, he is the great one. And yeah, I feel slightly slighted, taken aback that he said you guys are his favorite bald guys.
Wow.
Oh,
look at this head. How could I not be on that list?
You should be on the list.
That's right, I said it.
Well, you're our favorite ball guy. How about that?
Yeah.
And now
I love
you've completely changed my mind. Now I want you to run.
Hey, amen. And what it really comes down to, what it really is going to come down to is, can I fight in the fight?
Yes, you
right?
can.
I got to get into the ring. And the only way I get to that ring is with a very strong fundraising campaign.
And by the way, they love identity politics and
let's have
a
at
Puerto
it.
Rican fighting a Puerto Rican. I mean, that's a fair fight.
I grew up comiendo arroz y habichuela, and that's how we do.
That's what I'm saying.
Beautiful. Well, listen, it's great to meet you. I know you know Bernie for many, many years. Rich Valdes, folks, that's our choice. He's going to beat Cortez. He's going to beat her. And we're excited for you. We'll take a short break. More of Bernie and Sid on this NFL Draft Thursday, right after these words.
And they love to get it in, get it on us all night long. They want me, you know I want you. I know you want me, you know I want you. I know you want me.
Bernie and Sid in the morning, 77 WABC.